The next day, talk shows and podcasts dissected every word she'd said. Some commentators called her brave, others accused her of chasing publicity. One host even claimed she was weaponizing vulnerability for relevance. Joseline watched a clip of that segment on her phone, shaking her head. "They don't get it," she said softly to herself. "They never get it until it happens to them." She decided to go live that afternoon, not to argue, but to reclaim her voice once more. Her hair was tied back, her makeup minimal, her tone calm but assertive. "I see the comments," she began. "I see the people calling me crazy, saying I'm lying. But I don't need anyone to validate my truth. You don't know what goes on behind closed doors. You don't know what it's like to smile on camera while you're breaking inside." Thousands tuned in within minutes. "I ain't doing this for sympathy," she continued. "I'm doing it so somebody out there watching knows they can walk away too. No matter how deep you think you in it, you can still get out." The comments were flooded with hearts, prayers, and messages of gratitude. Women shared their own experiences in the chat, some thanking Joseline for helping them see their situations more clearly. Others simply wrote, "We hear you." By the end of her live, hundreds of thousands had tuned in. And Joseline ended it with a single line that went viral again. "I might have been hurt, but I'm not broken. I'm healing loudly." Meanwhile, Ballistic Beat's response grew more defensive. He posted a video from his studio, denying everything with a smirk. "Everybody want to make me the bad guy," he said. "Ain't nobody perfect in a relationship. Joseline know how she'll get. We had fights, sure, but never what she's saying." He laughed, shaking his head. "Y'all believe anything for clicks?" His tone, dismissive, arrogant, unapologetic, backfired almost instantly. Fans called it tone-deaf and disgusting. The comment section turned brutal. "Gaslighting in HD," one person wrote. Another commented, "He just proved her point." The backlash only intensified when more details began to surface. Old footage from past shows resurfaced, showing moments that now felt different in hindsight. Flashes of aggression, controlling behavior, times when Joseline flinched just slightly too late. People began to connect dots they had once ignored. "She's been telling us without telling us," a viral tweet read. "We just didn't listen." Through it all, Joseline refused to engage directly with Ballistic's denials. Instead, she posted a simple black screen on Instagram with white text that read, "You can't heal in the same place you were hurt." That quote alone racked up millions of likes within hours. It wasn't anger anymore, it was clarity. That evening, she returned for a follow-up segment, a continuation of the interview that had set everything in motion. This time, she spoke not as a victim, but as a woman stepping into survival. "When I left," she said, "I thought I was losing everything. But what I lost was the version of me that thought pain was proof of love." She looked into the camera again, her voice unwavering. "I want women watching this to understand, abuse doesn't start with fists. It starts with words. It starts with control. And by the time you notice, you've already been trained to doubt yourself." The interviewer leaned forward. "How did you find the strength to walk away?" Joseline smiled faintly. "By remembering who I was before him. I used to be fearless. He made me believe I was hard to love, and I carried that lie for years. But now I know better. I love me, and that's the part of me he can't touch." When the interview ended, the audience in the studio stood in silence. There was no applause, no shouting, just respect. It wasn't entertainment anymore. It was truth, raw and unfiltered, from a woman the world had misjudged for too long. Later that night, Joseline sat in bed, scrolling through the messages flooding her DMs, women from every walk of life, thanking her for speaking out. She smiled, tears welling, but not from pain this time. For once, her story wasn't being told by tabloids or edited for drama. It was hers, and she had taken it back piece by piece. The morning after the second interview, Bortlen woke up to a world that felt strangely quieter. The noise was still their tweets, headlines, reactions. But it didn't hit the same way anymore. For the first time in years, she wasn't reacting to anyone else's version of her story. She had said what she needed to say, and now the healing began. The sunlight poured through her Miami condo, reflecting off the gold accents in her living room, and for a moment, everything felt still. She sat on her couch in a silk robe, sipping coffee, reading the messages that continued to pour in from strangers around the world. Women, men, even teenagers, people she didn't know, were thanking her for breaking her silence. One message caught her attention. It was from a young woman who wrote, "I left my boyfriend last night after watching your interview. I realized I was living your story. Thank you for giving me the courage." Joseline put her phone down, her eyes welling with tears. That one message made every sleepless night, every bruise, every insult, and every tear she'd ever hidden worth it. "That's why I spoke," she whispered to herself. But outside her peaceful home, the storm still raged. Blogs and news outlets were still dissecting every second of her interviews, analyzing her expressions, questioning timelines, comparing statements. Some tabloids accused her of exaggerating, others accused Ballistic of lying, and some twisted the entire thing into a spectacle of gossip rather than survival. That was the part that frustrated her most, the way trauma was treated like entertainment. Still, she stayed calm. For once, she wasn't fighting back. The truth didn't need defending anymore. Across town, Ballistic Beats was in a studio surrounded by friends pretending to brush off the controversy, but everyone could see the cracks. The video he'd posted had done more harm than good. Sponsors were backing away quietly. His phone had stopped ringing, and every time his name trended, it came with words like abuser, gaslighter, or toxic. He blamed Joseline for ruining his career, but deep down, he knew he had played his own part. Joseline, on the other hand, began using her platform differently. She scheduled an appearance at a domestic violence awareness gala, something she'd never imagined herself doing. It wasn't about image, it was about purpose. On the night of the event, she walked the red carpet in a simple black gown. Her head held high, her presence magnetic but humble. Reporters shouted her name, asking if she had forgiven Ballistic. She smiled faintly and said, "Forgiveness isn't for him, it's for me." Her speech that night became one of the most powerful moments of her career. Standing under soft stage lights, she spoke slowly, her voice steady, deliberate, and heartfelt. "I used to think strength was pretending," she said. "Pretending everything was fine. Pretending love could fix pain. Pretending I wasn't scared. But pretending almost cost me my life. Real strength is walking away from what breaks you, even when it still hurts." The audience rose to their feet, applause echoing across the hall. For once, Joseline's words weren't being filtered through gossip or edited for drama. They stood on their own, unshakable and real. After the event, she sat quietly in her car, still processing the energy from the crowd. She hadn't cried on stage, but now the tears came easily. Not from sadness this time, they were tears of release. She thought about how far she'd come, from chaos to clarity, from survival to peace. For years, people had defined her by her temper, her fame, her controversies. Now, she was redefining herself one truth at a time. Later that week, she released a short statement on Instagram that would become her new mantra: "Healing is my revenge." The post exploded online. Fans flooded the comments with support, calling her transformation inspiring, authentic, and overdue. "This is the Joseline we've been waiting for," one comment read. But Joseline knew she hadn't changed overnight. She had simply stopped hiding behind her pain. In private, healing wasn't easy. There were days when the silence was too loud, when she missed the familiarity of what she'd left behind. Healing wasn't linear, was messy, confusing, sometimes lonely. She started therapy, something she'd resisted for years, and slowly learned how to separate Joseline the performer from Joseline the person. "You don't have to fight every battle," her therapist told her during one session. "Sometimes peace wins for you." That line stuck with her. Just when everyone thought the YNW Melly case couldn't get any darker. A shocking twist has flipped the entire narrative on its head. Newly surfaced murder footage allegedly showing YNW Melly and YNW Bortlen has sent shockwaves through the courtroom and the hip-hop world alike. This isn't rumor or speculation, it's evidence that prosecutors claim could change everything. The footage, described as graphic and revealing, reportedly shows moments that contradict what the defense has been saying for years. And while the clip hasn't been made public in full, insiders say it paints a chilling picture of what really happened the night YNW Juvie and YNW Sakasar were killed. For the first time, even some longtime fans are starting to question what they thought they knew about this case. Inside the courtroom, the tension is unbearable. Prosecutors believe this footage could finally prove their theory that the shooting wasn't a drive-by, but a cold, calculated setup. Meanwhile, YNW Melly's defense team is scrambling, arguing that the clip is being misinterpreted and taken out of context. As the news spreads, social media is on fire. Supporters are panicking. Doubters are celebrating. And through it all, one question keeps echoing across the internet. Does this new footage finally reveal the truth? Or is it just another layer in the most confusing and controversial murder case in hip-hop history? Brace yourself, because what's coming next might change everything you thought you knew about YNW Melly, YNW Bortlen, and the night that changed their lives forever. When the news broke that new murder footage had surfaced in the YNW Melly case, it felt like a bomb detonated inside the hip-hop world. For years, fans, critics, and courtroom spectators have debated one haunting question: what really happened on the night YNW Juvie and YNW Sakasar were killed? Now, this newly discovered video evidence threatens to change everything, not just the course of the trial, but the entire public perception of YNW Melly and YNW Bortlen. According to investigators, the footage recovered from cloud storage linked to Bortlen's phone allegedly shows moments leading up to and following the shooting. While the full video hasn't been released publicly, prosecutors have described it in detail during court proceedings. What's in it is said to contradict the original story that Bortlen and Melly told, that the two friends were victims of a random drive-by shooting, the original narrative. A drive-by gone wrong back in October 2018. When the double murder first made headlines, Bortlen and Melly claimed they were ambushed by unknown shooters as they drove late at night in Miramar, Florida. Police reports describe Bortlen rushing to gunshot victims, YNW Juvie, Chris Thomas Jr., and YNW Sakasar, Anthony Williams, to the hospital, where both were pronounced dead. At the time, Bortlen said he and Melly had escaped unharmed. It sounded tragic, random, senseless. But police didn't buy it. The bullet trajectories didn't match a drive-by scenario. The wounds suggested shots fired from inside the car. Phone data placed Melly and Bortlen together during and after the shooting. And security footage contradicted parts of their story. Those inconsistencies became the backbone of the prosecution's theory that Melly and Bortlen staged the scene to look like a drive-by after executing their two friends. The new footage, a different kind of evidence. Fast forward to 2025, the trial has dragged on for years, with mistrials, delays, and appeals. Just when it seemed the case might collapse under procedural technicalities, prosecutors introduce what they're calling the final piece of the puzzle. The footage in question reportedly shows Melly and Bortlen inside the vehicle shortly before the shooting. According to the prosecution's description, it appears that Melly is seen moving toward the back seat where Juvie and Sakasar were sitting. The clip then allegedly cuts, and what follows is a moment that has left even seasoned court reporters stunned. The video captures flashes consistent with muzzle fire, followed by shouting and the sound of doors opening. If verified, this footage could be the most damning evidence yet, and it could destroy the defense's entire argument. Inside the courtroom, the shockwave. Courtroom atmosphere was electric when the prosecution played portions of the video behind closed doors for the judge and jury. Reports say Melly's mother, Jamie Demons King, broke down in tears, whispering prayers under her breath. Bortlen, by contrast, sat stone-faced, his jaw clenched tightly. Defense attorneys immediately objected, arguing that the video's chain of custody was unclear and that it may have been tampered with. But the damage was already done. Even the faintest suggestion that the footage showed Melly inside the car at the time of the shooting sent the internet into chaos. Clips from legal commentators and courtroom analysts began circulating online within hours. Fans flooded Twitter or X with disbelief. If that footage is real, it's over for Melly. Others defended him, claiming the state was twisting evidence and using manipulated clips to destroy a Black artist. The Bortlen factor, loyalty, or survival? What makes this new footage even more explosive is how it affects YNW Bortlen's position. For years, he's maintained his innocence, painting himself as a bystander caught in the crossfire of Melly's fame and the system's obsession with bringing him down. But if this footage shows that both were present and potentially involved, then the fragile alliance between the two could shatter completely. Insiders close to the defense team suggest Bortlen may now be considering a plea deal. If that happens, it would be catastrophic for Melly. Bortlen's testimony, backed by this new video, could directly implicate Melly as the shooter. And if he refuses to cooperate, the footage alone might be enough to cast doubt on his own story of being an innocent passenger. Social media reaction. A digital firestorm. The reaction online has been nothing short of chaotic. Within hours of the announcement, hashtags like #FreeMelly, #JusticeForJUVY, and #Bortlen footage trended worldwide. Influencers, bloggers, and YouTube commentators rushed to upload breakdown videos, speculating on what the footage might contain. Some claimed to have insider info, others exaggerated details for clicks. In the noise, one thing became clear. This case has transcended the courtroom. It's now a global spectacle, a collision of celebrity, tragedy, and truth. Even other artists began weighing in. Some expressed heartbreak, saying the footage, if real, it was hard to process. Others, including prominent figures in the Florida rap scene, called for patience, reminding fans that nothing is proven until it's proven in court. Still, for millions who followed this case for years, the new footage feels like the beginning of the end, the human cost behind the headlines. There's still a deeper tragedy. For young men, friends, brothers, dreamers got caught in a web of fame, jealousy, and death. YNW Juvie and YNW Sakasar's families have waited years for closure, enduring public scrutiny while reliving their pain through every news cycle. For them, this footage isn't entertainment, it's trauma on repeat. As one family member reportedly said outside the courthouse, "We've been waiting for this moment. Not because we want revenge, but because we want the truth. We want people to stop treating this like a movie." Meanwhile, Melly's supporters continue to stand by him. They see a system that targets young Black men with success, twisting narratives to fit a conviction. To them, this case is proof that fame doesn't equal freedom. It makes you an easier target, a case at a crossroads with this new evidence. The stakes couldn't be higher. If the footage is ruled admissible, it could lead to new charges or even a retrial under a stronger prosecutorial argument. If it's dismissed as unreliable, the defense could regain momentum and push for dismissal. Either way, the revelation has reignited public obsession. Documentaries are already being updated. News outlets are rewriting timelines. And fans are left questioning every lyric, every smile, every interview. This isn't just about what happened in 2018. Anymore, it's about what happens next. As part 1 closes, one thing is certain: the truth is finally closing in. Whether that truth exonerates or condemns, YNW Melly and YNW Bortlen remains to be seen. But one way or another, this new footage ensures that the night of October 26, 2018, will never be viewed the same way again. The courtroom may have been silent when the footage played, but outside its walls, the world was roaring. Overnight, every platform from YouTube to TikTok to Reddit was flooded with theories, slow motion, breakdowns, and endless debates. The supposed new footage involving YNW Melly and YNW Bortlen had instantly become the most discussed topic in hip-hop and true crime circles. It wasn't just a piece of evidence, it was a cultural earthquake. The reaction? inside the courtroom, once the prosecution introduced the footage, everything changed. Defense attorneys for Melly scrambled to object, arguing that the video was inconclusive, misleading, and possibly even digitally altered. They demanded a forensic review, citing inconsistencies in timestamps and metadata. The judge allowed a temporary pause in proceedings to let both sides review the authenticity of the clip. Meanwhile, reporters sitting in the courtroom described the moment as chilling. Some said that even without seeing the full video, the reactions from the jury spoke volumes. A few jurors shifted uncomfortably. Others avoided eye contact with Melly entirely. The energy in the room was heavy, as though everyone knew they had just witnessed something that could rewrite the story entirely. Melly's defense leaned on one argument: context. They insisted the footage only showed fragments, not the full sequence of events. One attorney said anyone can look guilty in a 2-minute clip, but without the beginning and the end, you don't have the truth, you have a narrative. But the prosecution didn't back down. They reminded the court that every second of this footage was supported by existing forensic evidence, the bullet patterns, the phone GPS, the car data. For them, this wasn't a coincidence. It was confirmation. YNW Bortlen's silence and the growing divides for YNW Bortlen. His demeanor changed completely after the footage was shown. Reporters described him as tense, no longer making eye contact with Melly or his family. In previous hearings, he had appeared confident, even calm, occasionally exchanging nods with Melly. But now, that silent brotherhood was gone, sources close to the case told media. Outlets that the two defendants were no longer communicating at all. What was once a united front, two brothers fighting the system, had fractured beyond repair. Rumors began swirling that prosecutors had approached Bortlen with a new deal, testify in exchange for leniency. His legal team denied it, but the speculation persisted. And when he appeared in court with a visibly different posture, shoulders slumped, expression hollow, fans couldn't help but wonder, was he finally about to flip? This tension became the centerpiece of online debates. Some fans blamed Bortlen for turning his back on Melly. Others argued he was being realistic, trying to save his own life. Either way, the footage had driven a wedge not just between them, but between their supporters as well. Social media meltdown. No one stirs up digital chaos like the YNW fan base. Within hours, fan pages were dissecting every second of the footage description. Threads with millions of views claimed to have inside info, while others broke down timelines with CSI-level precision. Even verified artists jumped into the conversation. One rapper tweeted, "If that footage is real, it's a wrap for Melly. Ain't no way to spin that." Another posted the opposite sentiment. They did the same thing to Pac. They twist every video till it fits their story. The division was clear. Half of social media believed the footage confirmed the prosecution's theory that Melly pulled the trigger and Bortlen helped cover it up. The other half argued it was selective editing by the state. Another example of how fame turns you into an easy target. Melly's family speaks in the midst of the uproar. Melly's mother, Jamie Demons King, took to Instagram Live in an emotional outburst. Tears streamed down her face as she addressed her son's supporters directly. "They lying on my baby again. They want to make him the villain because he's famous. If that video really proves something, why are they not showing it to the public?" Her plea resonated with fans who have long felt the justice system is using Melly as an example. But critics countered that her emotional defense only distracted from the facts at the same time. The families of YNW Juvie and YNW Sakasar quietly expressed cautious relief. For them, the footage represented potential closure. Not for fame, not for revenge, but for peace. After years of watching the case drag through headlines, they finally believed the truth might come out. The industry reacts. The shockwaves didn't stop with fans. The music industry, which had largely gone silent on the case, started speaking up again. Executives, producers, and fellow artists debated how the footage would affect Melly's career if it proved authentic. Some insiders admitted that even before this, labels had grown hesitant about associating with Melly's name. His streaming numbers remained huge, but the stigma around the case was becoming too heavy to ignore. If this footage held up in court, his songs might face removal from playlists. Partnerships could be dissolved, and even his unreleased material could be locked down indefinitely. Others, however, argued that controversy in hip-hop often fuels legacy rather than ends it. They pointed to how figures like Tupac and XXXTentacion remained cultural icons despite criminal accusations. Melly's story, one commentator said, isn't just about guilt or innocence, it's about how fame and tragedy mix until you can't tell the difference. Behind the headlines. The power of perception. What makes this case so gripping isn't just the legal drama, it's how it's being perceived. Every new development becomes content. Every reaction becomes a meme. The court of public opinion has blurred with the actual court of law. Prosecutors know this. They've been careful with what details they release, needing just enough information to keep the narrative alive without compromising the case. Meanwhile, Melly's defense team is fighting not just for his freedom, but for control of the story. They know that once the public decides someone is guilty, it's almost impossible to change their minds. Legal experts warn that this level of exposure can influence jurors, even subconsciously. The lines between entertainment and evidence have vanished. The YNW case has become both a murder trial and a media event. A real-life tragedy consumed like a Netflix thriller. The psychological toll amid all this, the human cost, is staggering. Melly, once known for his charismatic smile and melodic voice, now looks drained in courtroom sketches. Bortlen, too, appears to have aged years since the trial began. Both men, once symbols of brotherhood and ambition, are now symbols of suspicion and downfall. For fans who grew up on songs like Murder on My Mind, it's deeply unsettling. That song, which once felt like art imitating life, now feels like life-haunting art. Every lyric, every interview, every smile is being reinterpreted under this new light. Where Things Stand As Part 2 ends. The case hangs in a precarious balance. Forensic experts are analyzing the footage frame by frame, trying to determine if it's genuine. The defense insists that angles, lighting, and missing audio could distort what really happened. The prosecution argues that the video speaks for itself. Raw, brutal, undeniable. The public, meanwhile, waits in suspense. Some hope this footage brings closure. Others fear it's just another twist in a story that's already spiraled too far. One thing's certain, this isn't just another update in the YNW Melly case. It's a turning point. And whatever happens next will not only determine two men's futures, but will forever redefine how truth and fame collide. In the age of the internet, the world had barely begun to process the impact of the newly revealed footage when the emotional fallout began to ripple through every corner of social media, the streets, and the courtroom itself. Everyone seemed to have an opinion, and everyone thought they knew the truth. But the truth in the YNW Melly case has never been simple, and this new evidence only made things more complicated. Inside the courtroom, the tension was suffocating. Melly sat motionless, his eyes fixed on the floor, the once bright smile that had defined his persona completely gone. Every few seconds, he glanced toward his legal team, as if searching for reassurance that never came. Bortlen, seated only a few feet away, avoided eye contact altogether. For two men who had built their lives around brotherhood, the silence between them now spoke louder than any testimony could. The prosecution began dissecting the footage frame by frame, aligning timestamps with call logs, GPS pings, and forensic data. It was a slow, methodical process, but it had the power to change everything. Each frame, they argued, told a story of betrayal and planning, not chaos and confusion. Their case was built on the idea that what appeared as a drive-by was really an elaborate deception. And this video, they said, proved it beyond doubt. The defense fought back fiercely. They argued that the video had been tampered with, that selective editing and missing frames created a false narrative. They brought in digital experts who testified that the footage's compression artifacts could easily distort movement and sound. To them, the video wasn't a smoking gun. It was a weapon of manipulation. They painted the prosecution's move as a desperate attempt to sway the jury after years of shaky evidence. But even with those arguments, the momentum had shifted. The footage had given the public something to see, something to feel. And in modern trials, feelings often weigh heavier than facts. Online, clips were analyzed like music videos, slowed down, captioned, and reposted with dramatic music. True crime YouTubers uploaded hour-long breakdowns claiming to reveal the real truth behind the footage. Everyone wanted to play detective, and everyone thought they were solving the mystery. Melly's fans, ones who had been shouting #FreeMelly for years, were suddenly split. Some still defended him with unshakable loyalty, arguing that he was a victim of a biased system that targets young Black artists. Others began to fall silent, unsure how to reconcile the cheerful rapper they admired with the possibility of what the footage suggested.